Tonight on News 5 Live, the pressure mounts as the PSU prepares to strike next week. A fond farewell to the Governor General, and find out which athletes will be able to resume their training this weekend. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime, while with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Do you need to apply for a Social Security card? With our newest online service, My Social Security, applying for a card just got easier. With a My Social Security account, you can apply for a card anytime and anywhere, putting you in control. To use this service, you must first create your My Social Security account. Visit our website. Under Online Services, select My Social Security, provide your personal information, and await activation of your new account. After activation, you are free to log in to your My Social Security account to complete your online application for a Social Security card. Be sure to book your registration appointment to finish the card application process. Gain control and truly experience Social Security at your fingertips.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes, go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, April 30th. I am Brighton Codd. At midday today, public officers across the country walked out of their respective government buildings and took to the streets in the various municipalities in anticipation of strike action that is to take effect next Tuesday. News 5's Dwayne Moody was out on Freetown Road where teachers joined public officers and paraded through the streets for an hour. Here's that report.
It was a calculated move made by the Public Service Union today when at the stroke at 12 o'clock, public officers in Belize City packed up and left their offices to congregate on Freetown Road. Within minutes and with placards in hand, they paraded along the main thoroughfare, momentarily interrupting traffic at some points.
Out here on my lunch break.
So for how long are you going to be walking the streets?
And until as long as they decide they will not cut my salary. My salary cut that like somebody whole house rent. I still have the right to come out here and advocate for my salary, because this is my salary. They have the decision to cut my salary, and I have the right to be out here to defend the salary that I have worked for.
The activity was held across the country in various municipalities.
As you know, it's just a continuation of what we have been doing in terms of our industrial actions. And we always say that we want to maintain a certain degree of presence and consciousness in terms of what this action is all about, and hence the reason why we continue to engage in these industrial actions.
Joining the public officers today in Belize City were teachers from the Belize District branch of the BNTU.
We just united with PSU members, and we did a small demonstration down Freetown. That was the goal today, as they embark on their strike. To our members, I'm just appealing to you all to come out and join us in full forces, and let's stand our ground and send our message. We're not fighting, the 10% is out there, but there's other things we're fighting for. So let's stand our ground as BNTU and get the message across so that 5 years, 10 years, we're not here again. Because honestly, we need to make a stand now and get it over with.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
The pay cut for public officers and teachers will take effect beginning next month and will be reflected in May paydays. The joint union's negotiating team met in a marathon session on Thursday evening to devise a strategy going forward, as public officers are set to commence a strike on May 4th. According to PSU President Gerald Henry, the imminent industrial action will see the operations of some government departments grinding to a halt in the days ahead. He shared with News 5 a few details from the lengthy sit-down.
Pretty much what we did was just to meet to formulate the way forward, considering the fact that PSU has already submitted and that on Tuesday next week we will officially be on strike.
What are we to expect on Tuesday of next week? Is it that the public officers won't report to work?
Well, there will be certainly some departments where, for those who support the actions of the unions, that the workers won't be going into work, no? So what people need to expect is to exercise some patience, because there will be a slowdown in the services provided, and we are hoping that the majority of the public officers would understand that this is not only a situation that we are fighting for the 10%, but it's also to get the good governance issues implemented, the legislation implemented, so that we are not here again 5 years from now with them coming to us for another 5 or 10%.
While the Public Service Union will be leading the charge this time, Henry says that PSU enjoys the full support of the Belize National Teachers Union and the Association of Public Service Senior Managers.
Certainly, I can safely say that they are in full solidarity with us, at least the majority, of their membership, and hence the reason why they are supporting us. Now, if they did not have a majority support, they would not have been able to join in solidarity with. We would be a joint union team. But since the membership of their respective unions also give them a mandate, which is to support the efforts that we are making, then it means that they are also very much on board. We are hoping that the actions that the unions will be taking will, bring the government back to the table, but this time in an effort to negotiate rather than consult, just simply to satisfy the law, no? That they need to consult with us before taking such actions. So we are hoping that they would get back to the table, but this time in good faith negotiations as opposed to simply consultation.
The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry held its 101st annual general meeting on Thursday night to a virtual audience. Despite the physical presence of its membership, The meeting was spirited and a number of issues were raised. According to Chief Executive Officer Kim Aikman, a full recap of 2020 was provided by BCCI President Marissa Longsworth. The keynote address was given by Prime Minister John Briceño.
Last night, the Chamber celebrated its 101 years of existence in Belize. We were formed in 1920. And it is, last night was kind of bittersweet because we would have wanted to have a room full of people, but due to the pandemic, we had to go virtual. And so we've had to learn how to do virtual things, but it was good because people from all over, or members who would not have been able to come, were here. We had a presentation from our president who gave a recap of the year 2020. It was not a normal year. As you know, we've had to learn to adapt, to adjust, and she highlighted those. She also highlighted the fact that the Chamber approached and attempted to do a prime ministerial debate, and it wasn't lost on her that although the podium said prime ministerial debate, there were 2 empty podiums, and so she recapped that. And all our achievements, the fact that we signed a joint declaration with the social partners of Belize to advocate for good governance. And so that was her presentation mostly. The keynote speaker was the Prime Minister of Belize. The Chamber wanted to hear from him what his government's plans were to move Belize forward, given the current environment, and we asked him to talk about productivity, in particular, how we can enhance productivity in Belize.
Since 2020, Belize's economy has been in a precarious situation, which has been made worse by the pandemic. According to Aikman, the uncertainty of what is to come is worrying for the Chamber membership, so they were eager to hear from the Prime Minister.
We've taken some shocks from the pandemic. As you know, we had quite a bit of our foreign earnings from tourism, and that was cut to zero, so we needed to look in other areas. So he outlined government's position. We know in the current climate, it's where we are having industrial disputes with the government and the joint unions. We need, as a country, and I think that was highlighted, to come back to the table and speak with each other so that we can move forward. Well, I think membership on a whole, they're concerned on what's to come. How are we going to span this great divide, one, with the industrial action, and 2, how are we going to stimulate our economy? And the policies that will be in place. For years, the Chamber has been calling for things like a comprehensive tax review to simplify the tax structure, to look at the evaders, because if you have a simplified structure, it's easier to spot the people who are evading. And we have never walked away from the fact that we know that there are some businesses out there who are not paying their fair share of taxes, and we ask that they do, or that the tax department goes after those businesses. We would not cover for anybody who is not paying.
Coming up, the opposition holds a press conference to challenge statements made during the Senate budget debate. Find out what they have to say about niche, the Nature Conservancy, and Patrick Faber's housing arrangements. Stay with us.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. It would have been very easy when Jesus saved us to transfer us that very moment to heaven, but He didn't. He leaves us in this world that we might be light and salt to affect and influence the world. He realized our plight in a world that was controlled by materialism, greed, injustice, immorality, hatred, lawlessness, and godlessness. And so he gave us his word to guide us, and he prayed that God would protect and keep us from the evil or the snares and the temptations of the evil one or the god of this world. Satan loses a big battle when we're saved, but then he seeks to lure us back into the world to destroy our witness and our relationship with Christ. Many feel they can identify both with God and the world, only to be deceived and destroyed. A man once asked D.L. Moody, "Now that I am converted, have I got to give up the world?" Moody replied, "No, you haven't got to give up the world, but if you give a good ringing testimony for the Son of God, the world will give you up pretty quick." Just remember this, friend, this world is not my home. I'm just a passing through. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
The Public Utilities Commission, PUC, hereby notifies the public that on April 30th, 2021, it made its initial decision in respect of the 2021 Annual Review Proceeding, ARP, for the Belize Electricity Limited, BEL. The Belize Electricity Limited, BEL, made a submission for an Annual Review Proceeding, ARP, on April 1st, 2021. It requested that both the mean electricity rate, MER, at $0.4018 of a dollar per kilowatt hour and tariffs be retained for the next annual tariff period as per values set in the 2020 FTRP final decision. In applying the rate-setting methodology RSM, the MER was assessed to be $0.399 of a dollar per kilowatt hour for the remainder of the full tariff period from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024, as compared to $0.4018 of a dollar per kilowatt hour previously assessed in the 2020 FTRP final decision. In its initial decision, the Commission has retained the current schedule of fees and charges levied by BEL, but has reduced the tariffs in consequence of a downward assessment in the MER to $0.399 of a dollar per kilowatt hour. The deadline for comments from interested parties on the initial decision is by the close of business on May 10, 2021. The initial decision may be viewed in its entirety at the offices of the Public Utilities Commission at 41 Gabriel Lane, Belize City, or on the PUC website at www.puc.bz. Further details will also be published in the next edition of several newspapers widely circulated in Belize.
I need data for finish my homework, man. Where can I buy credit around here? You have insufficient funds.
Shucks! I need a call for help.
Please recharge and try again.
When you're lost, when you're scared, when you're broke beyond repair, you can lean on me. You can lean on me.
Yes! Did you credit me?
Need credit but short on cash? Or can't make it to the store? Digi's got you covered with the new Credit Me service. Get credit now, pay later. Just send Get Credit to 456. No need to fret, just use Digi's Credit Me.
My name is Julie, and I'm a single mom raising a 10-year-old son. I am the director for a conservation organization. When I started working in the field of marine conservation, it was absolutely male-dominated. It still is male-dominated. One of my first jobs was as a manager out on a remote island with all male staff reporting to me. And one of my assistants was very upset with me and actually told me, the only woman whoever tells me what to do is my mom. And I have my son, and I really do want to show him that really anything can be done, and it doesn't matter who you are. From day one, I've been teaching my son that any job that a man can do, a woman can do. And he has learned this, and he now preaches this to friends and even my colleagues.
Live and let live. Respect for all Belizeans.
During Monday's Senate budget debate, Senator Eamon Courtney raised the issue of the UDP administration's waiving taxes on land purchased by the Nature Conservancy for a period of 50 years. According to Courtney, this would have yielded over $300 million in revenue to the government of Belize. He referred to the arrangement as a secret agreement and a nefarious deal. Today, those who were at the helm of the former administration had their say when the opposition held a press conference in Belize City. The former Attorney General refuted Senator Courtney's claim that the agreement was done unlawfully because it was not brought before the National Assembly for approval. He also says Courtney's own law firm represented the landowners who sold the land to the Nature Conservancy.
So the Nature Conservancy comes to us and say, we have these people in the Yalbak area who together have 266,000 acres that they're willing to sell us for $72 million. We will raise that money to buy it from them, and then we would form an NGO to run the conservation of it for the benefit of the government and people of Belize. You know, I was going to partly say this for last, but I think I should say this now. Senator Courtney made great strides to mention that the Nature Conservancy's attorneys were Barrow and Williams at the time. What he failed to mention, and which is true, is that his law firm, Courtney, Cowie and Company, is the law firm representing the major landowners in the Yalbak area who are selling the land to the Nature Conservancy. So he didn't reveal that, but the public should know that. So when he calls this a nefarious deal, is he saying that he's a part of this nefarious activity, supposedly? I mean, he big in this. When the Nature Conservancy approached us, we said, fine, no problem. We will consider it. A cabinet paper was done, and when that cabinet paper was done, cabinet considered it and approved it in principle, and indicated to the Minister of Finance and to the Minister of Environment and the Minister of Natural Resources that we should go ahead and procure the execution of this arrangement. It could not and was not brought to the National Assembly because it had already been dissolved. Now, Senator Courtney knows that the only time you bring land matters or the transfer of land matters to the National Assembly is when you're dealing with government land. So if you're transferring or dissolving or giving to the public 500 acres of government land, for example, you need National Assembly approval. But no National Assembly approval was needed for this transfer because this is private land. You have the Nature Conservancy paying for the land from private owners to be transferred to an NGO. There was no need for any of that to go to the National Assembly. So for him to indicate that somehow that was done in violation of the law by not taking it to the National Assembly, that is disingenuous at the least.
The Nature Conservancy has since issued a release noting that the use of tax incentive to encourage protection for natural areas has been an effective practice in Belize and around the world. TNC says the contribution this conservation effort will make to the economy is far higher than the value of the annual land taxes on the Belize Maya property. During today's UDP press conference, leader of the opposition Patrick Farber also responded to reports that under his leadership, funds were used from the National Institute of Culture and History to pay off a Social Security debt for a staunch UDP supporter. Farber confirmed that $100,000 from Niche's account was used to pay off a loan for artist emeritus Myrna Manzanares, who had defaulted on her loan payment and was facing foreclosure on her property. The leader of the opposition says he makes no apology for assisting Manzanares, explaining that in lieu of payments made, the property now belongs to Nich.
We found a situation where one of Belize's most recognized artists was in a predicament financially with her home. And in fact, this individual, whom I will name, I don't think that I can hide that now. I saw that while Courtney did not call a name, he certainly called the family's name in his presentation on Wednesday, and it is Artist Emeritus Myrna Manzanares, whom all Belizeans know to be the champion of the Creole language, or one of the main champions of the Creole language, a storyteller, a poet, and somebody whom we have long recognized. So happens that Myrna is UDP, but that is neither here nor there. She is one of Belize's greatest talents. Myrna was in a situation financially with her home. Once we found the situation with Ms. Manzanares, we thought that we should try to assist. And as far as I recall, the proposal that the board put forward and voted on and passed saw that Myrna would not necessarily receive that little stipend that she would receive as a result of her being designated artist emeritus, and that in fact we would try to help her to secure a dwelling space, because she lived in the house that was about to be foreclosed on by the Social Security Board. So Niche contacted the Social Security Board and sought to find out how the transaction could be done. I want to make it clear that at no time did Niche intend to pay off the debt on behalf of Ms. Myrna, and she could continue owning the property, so to speak. The transaction was such that Niche would own the property. I believe the transaction concluded for about $110,000 for a property that is well over $200,000. It is in a very well-to-do neighborhood.
According to the leader of the opposition, Niche acquired the property in the hope of undertaking a cultural preservation project at the site. He also confirmed that Niche gave Myrna Manzanares the go-ahead to live on the property for the remainder of her life. Was the former Minister of Education, Patrick Farber, double-dipping from the public funds while operating in the capacity as Deputy Prime Minister? Last week in the House of Representatives, the Minister of Education, Francis Fonseca, accused the former administration of entering a 2-year rent contract valued at $3,000 monthly to the House, that is, to house the former education minister, allegedly while he was also receiving a housing allowance. During the House meeting, the leader of the opposition rose to object. Today, he had an explanation for the arrangement, claiming at one point during the press conference that he did not even know how much he was getting in allowance.
It was terribly misconstrued at the time. You remember that I was also Deputy Prime Minister. And so it was, which I got no compensation for. The Deputy Prime Minister got no additional compensation as Deputy Prime Minister. And so the rental of the property was done as a part and parcel of him being Deputy Prime Minister at the time. Once the situation got bad in terms of COVID, indeed the rental agreement was up and the contract was not renewed. The Prime Minister made it very clear that, in fact, by that time, it was a month or so, 2 months after I gave up the position of being Deputy Prime Minister, and so I couldn't expect it to be renewed.
As I understand it, housing allowances for ministers are $1,500. I was able to understand that the rent, you're getting that house for double the cost of housing allowance, and that you are also taking your housing allowance home.
As I've explained,
let me just ask the question. So that is the definition of double dipping. Was such a deal only done for you or for other ministers?
I won't comment, and I don't know about anybody else's situation. As I've said, the arrangement that was made was because I was Deputy Prime Minister and received no compensation for the additional duties that a Deputy Prime Minister does, and I'm sure that you're not disputing that. But if you want contrast to the situation, let me point out that it is not abnormal for the government to have a housing allocation or even offer a house for government ministers who do not reside in Belmopan to be there.
So how long was this $2,000 rent being paid for you while you were taking home $1,500 allowance?
I don't know what the allowances are, to be honest. Those allowances go to my account. In fact, I just had to write and ask for an explanation of allowances. But I am telling you that whatever arrangement was there was merely because I was Deputy Prime Minister. It wasn't the kind of situation where once things got bad, I did not say, that's fine. And it was something that was there before me. But I found that situation there where they rented a house for the Deputy Prime Minister. And I was not from Belmopan, and I decided to make Belmopan my residence for the time while I was working in Belmopan.
After the break, protecting Belize's children from hazardous work. A new child labor law may be on the horizon. But first, here is a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
Rain or shine, any weather. When we go ball, we go burger. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go ball, we go burger. Let your imagination run free. Any color for this place, when we say ball, that mean it don't peel. Quality in every color, lifetime guarantee. When we go ball, we go burger. When we go ball, we go burger. Rain or shine, any color you need. When we go ball, we go burger.
RFNG has been a part of my growth. We have gone from working from just an office to also working from home. And I'm in between both. And I have a very supportive staff that helps me to get that done. And I also have a great company behind me that supports the changing times that we're going through. I am your neighbor, I am your friend, I am your RFNG agent.
Find your nearest RF&G agent on our website at rfginsuranceBelize.com, where it pays to get it right.
Contraband is illegal importation of fruits and vegetables or any commodities entering the country from an illegal port of entry. Contraband fruits and vegetables do not follow required sanitary protocols and may contain pests which can endanger agricultural industries, livelihood, and can result in the exposure to coronavirus. When purchasing these goods, you place yourselves and the lives of your loved ones at great risk. We advise the public to report any illicit activities to the nearest customs or Baja office. The Belize Marketing and Development Corporation, the Belize Agriculture Health Authority, and Customs Department encourage you to say no to contraband and buy local.
Preparing for the club, y'all gonna get it up like house. Yeah, the night is going fine. All the ladies on the dime like house. Let's chance and raise it up. No, we cannot get enough like house. Shine on with Lighthouse Lager.
Currently, we're using Smart Elite VoIP calling plan. We use it interbranch, we use it to call outside, and we also use it to call international. It's far cheaper than what we used to have before. Our equipment are new, PBX box is new. So the PBX is very good because I can call to my Sartaneja branch, I can call to my Kikaka branch, I can call to San Pedro branch, and there's no cost using the PBS. Actually right now, since we're in different locations, I can call main office from where I am at a no cost using the PBX system. I would recommend it, sure I would, especially the big enterprises who has a lot of employees. There's a lot of reduction in costs, 50% of saving. Put that on a year, it's a lot of money that we're saving. Money that we could return to our members, since we give back dividend to our members.
Visit our showroom or call 670-6710 to find out how Smart's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
Embattled former Minister of Works Rene Montero will find out soon what charges, if any, the state will bring against him in connection to allegations of corruption made against him. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Cheryl Lynn Vidal, has indicated that she is in receipt of additional material that she had requested of the police so that she can make a definitive decision on the matter. Police have furnished the DPP's office with the documents 2 months ago, but she had instructed them to conduct further investigations and provide those findings. In February, Prime Minister John Briceño indicated to News 5 that the Minister of Infrastructure Development had taken affidavits from employees who alleged Minister Montero had government personnel work his farms using government diesel and government pickups. The Prime Minister also said that heavy-duty equipment was found on his farm, which the Ministry of Infrastructure Development had to go and remove. This week, Cabinet gave its approval for the Ministry of Labour to proceed with the development of a national child labour plan. The last one was developed back in 2009, but was never implemented. This time around, the ministry says they have done the necessary groundwork that is, and created achievable targets to push Belize towards the International Labour Organization's 2025 goal of eliminating the worst forms of child labour. According to Labour Commissioner Anne-Marie Thompson, it will be a collaborative effort.
All members of the International Labour Organization are ranked in terms of their child labour efforts. You have the bottom of the table, and thankfully because of our hard work, we are not there. We are at the middle, and that means we have a ranking known as moderate ranking. So because we're not at the top of the table, we are at the middle, not at the bottom. This means that we have work to do. Every country has an incidence of child labor. No country is child labor free. In our own economy, we see children. They are at times in the cane field. This is becoming less and less because of the work of the labor department through labor inspection, because of our work with the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association, and of course fair trade. And also sometimes you may see them in the construction industry. And it is very complex because no parent wants to harm their children, but they may have a child or they take their children with them to learn them skills and to learn them the business. But what we are saying that it is important that once the work is hazardous or harmful, the children are kept away. When you think about child labor, you're thinking of labor that is very hazardous to children. Labor or work that will harm children. And as a country, we have a duty, we have a responsibility to protect our children, to protect their rights, to protect their education, their welfare, their safety and security. And this is where the National Child Labor Policy will come in. So we prepared an information paper to Cabinet to say that we are in the process of developing and executing a national child labor policy We would have had input from our stakeholders, including the International Labour Organization, including UNICEF, including the union, including the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So that is where we are. We got input, we developed terms of reference, and very soon we will embark on a program so that we can have a national child labor policy in place.
When we return, the athletes have been asking, now government responds. Find out which sports can have athletes begin to train again when we come back.
BWS launches its residential amnesty program to aid customers. For those who have fallen behind, you can now take advantage of our arrears assistance, which allows you to get up to 10% rebate on all arrears payment. Our early payment rebate is opened and is automatic to all residential customers who pay their bill in full 5 days earlier than the due date. You receive a 5% rebate on your next bill. BWS Amnesty Program, designed to assist you.
Belize Water Services, delivering water and more.
Hello Belize. You may not be aware of the new travel requirements set in place by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or a documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins.
These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott rapid test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient.
Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at
Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
Want to leave a lasting impact when you travel? Then travel locally. Make memories to treasure for a lifetime while making a difference. Make protected areas your next travel destination. With over 25 protected areas under the APAMO umbrella, the possibilities for adventure and education are endless. You can bond with friends and family while trekking through the jungles to discover natural pools and breathtaking views. Or take that snorkeling trip to the magnificent world of coral gardens and marine life. Then camp under the stars to end off that perfect day in nature. By visiting protected areas, you are helping to preserve valuable plant and animal life. You're building local communities and you're keeping our natural and cultural heritage alive. You have that power. Travel locally and make an impact. We invite you to visit a protected area near you and discover the beauty of Belize's wild places. APAMO, the voice of Belize's protected areas.
In honor of mothers everywhere, NextGen wants to share the love with you. Visit our office to sign up for any next-gen service. No installation or reconnection fee required. But that's not all we have for you. Existing next-gen customers who visit any of our branch office to update their account balance will automatically be entered into our Whoa Mom giveaway for a chance to win 1 month free service. Don't wait. Sign up and save all month long with NextGen. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
The Ministry of Sports will be requiring that professional athletes be tested for COVID-19 before practice. Minister Kevin Bernard explains how often these tests must be carried out and how the government's COVID-19 vaccine rollout plan comes into play.
One of the requirements for the professional athletes will also be that they need to be tested before they start to practice. So that's one of the requirements that is coming on from the ministry, recommendation from the Ministry of Health. And we support the decision because we want to make sure that people understand that we are trying to protect them. And of course, we're trying to keep the numbers down in terms of the COVID cases that we have in this country.
How often do these teams and organizations have to test their players? Is it before each and every practice?
No, I don't think so. I think that what the Ministry of Health was saying is that they will need to test it and then regular checks will be done. However, we are hoping that by the time we complete the first 3 months, our athletes can be vaccinated. And that's one of the things we are doing. We are asking as well from the Ministry of Sport that we allow our athletes, especially our professional athletes who have to go out, to get vaccinated. Have them give them the opportunity to go and be vaccinated, and then you gradually as the phases start to open up in terms of vaccination, then we start to see more and more of our athletes being vaccinated.
They have been asking for it, and this weekend, many Belizean athletes will be able to resume their training for competitions, but no tournaments can be held just yet. There are certain restrictions, and the new regulations do not cover recreational sports. But it is a positive development after so long. News 5's Paul Lopez spoke with the Minister of Sports, Kevin Bernard, about the latest SI.
Members of the athletic community can now breathe a sigh of relief. On Saturday, May 1st, a statutory instrument will come into effect allowing for the phased reopening of non-contact sports for training purposes. News 5 spoke to the Minister responsible for sports, Kevin Bernard, about these latest developments.
The Ministry of Sports, of course, have been lobbying some time to try to get sport back on track. We know that our COVID numbers were down for some time, and we have seen a little bit a spike, but I think it's also on a controllable pace, and that gives us a little bit of relief. So we're going ahead with our plans as agreed with the various sporting associations, so that effective May 1st, I believe the SI should be coming out sometime today. When it comes to contact sports, I want to make it absolutely clear, there's a list of contact sports in this country that will be allowed, but for training purpose only for the next 3 months. So we're opening up contact sport, but for training only. And it can only happen within the same organization. So you can't say Team A is going to train against Team B and you're from 2 different associations. That won't happen. Team A has to split itself into 2 or 3 and to train amongst themselves.
Non-contact sporting athletes will now be allowed to host and participate in competitions, but only in the absence of an audience or fans.
Over the next months 3 to 6 now, we're saying after we monitor the progress, then we open up contact sports for competition without spectators as well. So for the first 6 months, we can't have gathering, we can't have audiences and so forth. We have to be innovative and maybe look at technology and allow people to join in virtually. So the organizers of these events may want to attract a virtual audience, similar to what has been done in some of the other sports in the region. And then after month 6 is completed, the Ministry of Health and Wellness and our ministry will go back, we'll do another review, a comprehensive review, to see if there was any issues related to COVID matters related to sporting activities. Should there be any spike in cases, however, though, Paul, we will have to close back sports down.
And while recreational sports enthusiasts may want to dust off those football pegs and basketball jerseys to begin play on the nearest community playground, the Minister of Sports is saying, not so fast.
One concern, however, that has been raised through the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Sport is the fact of recreational sports. I understand we would want to see our children going out and play in the backyard, in the neighborhood parks, but it's a bit tricky. So we are going to be looking at that. I believe that we had made an agreement that we would have brought recreational sports, but we are kind of pulling back that one a bit because it can be somewhat a spreader. So we want to ask people to understand, to bear with us. No?
Just to be clear, no, the football fields in the community basketball courts, they're not open for recreational sports at this time.
That was the position and recommendation that came to us in terms of and of course to also look at the matter of policing these things, you know. So what we don't want is people to say, oh, but we are practicing, and then it's you know, it's not. They're using the recreational advantage, but at the same time trying to say, oh, just practicing, and that's not the case. We know who are who, and that's why there is a register that will be required for those teams involved and the NAC.
According to Minister Bernard, sporting associations and organizations in contact sports disciplines who will train during this period must be registered with the National Sports Council of Belize. Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.
ASR BSI has responded to the decision taken by GOB for Santander Sugar Company to mill sugarcane from the north. According to a release issued to stakeholders in the northern sugar industry, the BSI is clarifying that there was no prior consultation with the millers in Tower Hill on the company's ability to mill the pending cane for the current crop. According to BSI, the decision was taken based on an estimate of cane to be delivered which has not been verified nor discussed or presented to stakeholders. Just ahead, the Governor General steps down. Scenes from the send-off when we return. But first, here is the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
One year ago, an invisible but deadly virus altered our way of life. Upon assuming my responsibilities as Minister of Home Affairs, over 190 members of the Belize Police Department had contracted the virus. And regrettably, 2 of our heroes in uniform lost the battle on the front line of this pandemic. Today, I can proudly say that there are no reported cases within our department, and this is directly attributable to the phenomenal work of the healthcare workers and the team over at the Ministry of Health and Wellness. We are in this together. I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine. This is our chance, our opportunity, our window to return to normalcy. #GetVaccinated_Belize.
It is my time
to protect your life.
Don't wait to vaccinate.
I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine.
The vaccine is the best way to protect lives.
Don't wait, vaccinate.
Don't hesitate, Belize.
Vaccinate. Be COVID-19 safe.
If you care,
love them.
protect them.
Vaccinate them.
I was 17 and in love, and I thought he loved me too. But now I know that a loving partner should not take away your choice of clothes you wear or the music you listen to. He should not take away your purse, car keys, or your phone so that when your family calls, you cannot answer. If your partner is controlling you, it is domestic violence. Call 0800 A Way Out or our cell phone number 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission in collaboration with Miss Universe Belize with funding from the Engender and Spotlight Project.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Sir Colville Young officially left the office of the Governor General today at an official ceremony held to honor his life of service to the people of Belize. The Governor General handed in his resignation last month after almost 3 decades as the representative of Queen Elizabeth II.
Royal salute! Present!
As he arrived at the House of Culture in Belize City to officially demit office of the Governor General of Belize, Sir Colville Young was welcomed with the vice-regal salute, a musical greeting and mark of respect for the man who has served as the representative to Belize's head of state, Queen Elizabeth II, for 28 years. He was installed as Belize's second Governor General on November 17, 1993, and has been the longest-serving Governor General in the Commonwealth. Sir Colville Young served as GG under the administrations of former Prime Ministers Manuel Esquivel, Said Musa, Dean Barrow, and 6 months under Prime Minister John Briceño until he gave notice of retirement. The official farewell for his departure from the office of the Governor General was full of pomp and circumstance, led by the Belize Defence Force Band and the Guard of Honor made up of BDF soldiers, Coast Guards, and police officers, as well as representatives from the Scouts and Girl Guides of Belize. Prime Minister John Briceño, Leader of the Opposition Patrick Faber, Acting Chief Justice Michelle Arana, other government officials and members of the Diplomatic Corps were in attendance today as they honored the esteemed senior diplomat. And today, as he retired, he gave thanks as he reflected on his years of service.
In saying thanks, above all, I remember the young people of Belize. If I have initiated programs for their benefit, they have in turn enthusiastically joined in those programs, whether as scouts, guides, musicians taking part, as Dr. Villanueva said, in the annual Bandfest. The young people of Belize have been my staff of comfort to help me and encourage me every step of the way. Sometimes they have surprised me.
But his life of service to Belize began before he became the beloved and respected Governor General. During his years as an educator, Sir Colville Young was the founding president of the then University College of Belize.
I don't think he hesitated because he has a tremendous love for the country. I'd have to say he's from the kind of make that the George Prices and Philip Golsons and so came from, right? I don't know what it was around that time, but they, you know, country before everything else, right?
And he also loved music, a passion that forged into a mission to propel the creative arts in Belize, spanning decades of work that have helped to define and promote Creole culture.
Dr. Young has contributed to the literary arts from multiple perspectives. Among these, chiefly, has to be his contribution as an author, as a writer of plays, of short stories, of poetry, of music, composing some of the tunes that we hear every year.
I think the country lost a great musical composer and a writer when he became Governor General. I think the 28 years that he spent as Governor General, he did not produce any music or write any more books.
While he didn't continue to write and compose music, his involvement in the arts continued during his tenure as Governor General. It just took on another form. He will be remembered for his Music in Schools program, pushing other music like the Steel Pan and the Band Fest. And like the way his interests touch lives, like his work with the Scouts, Sir Colville Young will be remembered as a man who connected with the people.
He's just that a man, humble, compassionate individual who understands the importance of knowing people and where needs be, providing just those words of assurances for others. It is not, and I would say during my experience, he never came off as somebody who was elitist, pompous to say. He never allowed the role to, quote unquote, fill his head.
And now that Governor General Sir Colville Young retires, Cabinet Secretary Stuart Leslie will act as Governor General until Froila Salam is installed as the next Governor General of Belize. She received the outgoing Gigi's blessings as he departed office today.
Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. That crown will now be passed to my successor, a great choice by Prime Minister Johnny Brisenia, a lady of learning, of charm, and of patriotism. I wish her well, as I'm sure all of you do. And I'm sure all Belize will welcome her and support her as you welcomed me and supported me during my tenure of office as Governor General of Belize.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I am Brighton Cod. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.